Welcome back, guys. U.S. Virgin Islands Chess, ISV International, and you guys have made it back to the Stockfish 8 playlist. And we're stopping to take a look at this game that I played on September the 12th, Monday, year 2022. And we're going to go over the game versus Stockfish, the engine, one of the top engines. This engine is on Lichess. So you guys can play against Stockfish 8 under the Play Against the Computer tab on lichess.org and see if you can get a result. It starts at level 1 and goes all the way to level 8. Level 8's around 2800 plus, I think. I mean, it's very strong. I mean, it plays perfectly. I mean, it defends and makes sure that you get nothing and puts you in a world of pain even when you're up a pawn in the endgame. And that's exactly what happened in this game, guys. So let's take a look at it now without further ado. E4, E5. Let's learn about when Stockfish decides to play the Philidor defense. Let's take a look at the position now. E4, E5, knight F3, and D6. Let's continue with my, whoops, guys, sorry about that. Let's continue with my favorite, bishop to C4, and this is something that I play a lot. Let's continue. Bishop E7 played by Stockfish, short castles. And guys, I will tell you the truth about what happened in this game. I spent a total of maybe about 2 hours or so. The first maybe 25 minutes getting up to move 27. And then after move 27 and through moves 30 and 40, I really had to do a lot of thinking and problem solving. So light chess allows you to take the moves back, and I did that after move 27 when I really had to solve, and we'll get to that. But just to let you guys know, I did have to take back for probably about, it took about 45 minutes to solve. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you guys the absolute truth. But I was able to solve it and come up with a draw with white in this Philidor defense against Stockfish Level 8. So let's go. I was pretty pleased with my result and how I played and the tactics that I also came up with. It actually gave Stockfish a pretty hard time. So let's go, guys. C5 was played. C3 played by myself. Knight to F6. Rook to E1. Normal development. Short castles from Stockfish. And D4. Now striking in the center. Knight from B to D7. And now here comes D captures on E5, knight captures on E5, knight captures on E5, and D E5. Well, guys, just for instructional purposes and to give you guys a little lesson on some strategy, if you guys end up playing a very top engine, it's best to, A, consider a couple of things. Number one, get the queens off the board as soon as possible, especially if you're playing with white in the match. And make sure that when queens are off the board, you consolidate as much as you can. In other words, make sure that things like your pawns, keep their shape, your structure. Stockfish at level 8 is never going to let you develop how you want. It already knows, and it has a sense inside of itself to know what you're going for, because it knows that you're a human, and it knows that you can only grasp certain structures and certain lines, okay? That's the disadvantage that we always have against these engines. However, I want to state that one of the advantages as humans that we do have against these bots and these engines, right, guys, is that it determines human surprises and moves that are unexpected as inaccuracies. So oftentimes, as Magnus Carlsen said, these bots and these engines are actually kind of just dumb. What he meant by that was because they coin inaccuracies and they state certain moves as not good, even if they're just human surprises and they lead to good, wins, consolidated games. The bot or the engine doesn't have the ability to do that. All it knows how to do is create perfect structures that defend perfectly and not really so much attack perfectly, but just go after weaknesses in the human camp. Let's continue with the game. Queen D8, Rook D8, and this is exactly what I wanted now, Bishop to G5. Woo! I feel like I can deal with this game. My pawn structure is just fine. He's got split pawns here. I guess I have split pawns as well. H6, now dropping back to H4, not taking on F6, guys. Yeah, let's go back. If I take here, it takes. And yeah, I'm going to lose that game. So I'm not taking. Okay, I'm just going to drop back to H4. And A6 now, trying to get to B5 to attack that powerful C4 bishop. So guys, if you found the move bishop to f1 in this position, this is actually the only good continuation, and I did not use another engine, I did not use Fritz base, I did not look up anything, I just knew that bishop to f1 was best, okay? I know I'm playing Stockfish 8, I have to play not just candidate moves, but maybe like even more solid moves than, you know, what we would come up with on a daily basis on playing like a normal online rated game on Lichess or playing an over-the-board match somewhere otherwise, okay? So bishop to f1 is a must. Now comes b5. And knight to a3, which is a very sorry, pitiful move, guys, but I can't develop anywhere to like d2. I have to go to a3, so a3 is played in this position. I have to play it. e3, a3 one time. And rook to d2, now getting to the second rank. Yes, and now putting, you know, some pressure on my b2 pawn. So b3 has to be played, and this is fine. Bishop to b7 now played by Stockfish 8. f3, now putting more coverage and emphasis to that, you know, center on e4 that black is looking to cause problems. Now here comes c5. Guys, find the best move, and this is all authentic, genuine chess up to this point. Yes, I did not have any takebacks up to this point, only until about move 27, which we'll get to here shortly in a moment, which was about 12 moves away. Guys, not B captures. You can't play knight captures here, okay? Let's go over what happens if you play knight captures. If you play knight captures, Stockfish will play captures here, and then after you capture back, yes, it looks like you're up 2, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 5. It looks like you're up 2 pawns in this position, right? No, wrong. Guys, you're going to get punished here very, very badly by Stockfish. He's just going to double up here on the D file and just crush you in the middle game. And we don't want a middle game against Stockfish 8. That's exactly what we're trying to avoid. So we have to play like we're playing against an engine. We're not playing against a human being. We're playing against a top-rated engine. So we have to play vastly differently. Knight back to B1. This must be played if we want to continue for anything. Now Stockfish is dumb when it comes to making, you know, it's scared to make little, you know, what humans would perceive as little improvements in the position. He's just going to play rook to c2 and now go after my c3 pawn, right? But my c3 pawn's defended by knight b1, and that's why I went back, because I needed this prophylaxis and I needed to be like a half a move ahead. Now comes b captures on c4. Bishop to c5, guys. Find the move for white. This isn't bad or anything. It's not like white's in trouble. I just go to h1 here and life is groovy. Knight to d7, played by Stockfish. Very interesting move. It has to do something about the queen side. Guys, find the best move in the position if you haven't looked at the notes. Find the best move for white in the position after I give you a couple of seconds. Pause the video. Do what you have to do. We're about 8 minutes in now, guys. We'll go for about another 5 or so and then wrap this up. This was Stockfish 8, brought to you by your host, Colin Heim, with US Virgin Islands Chess, ISV International, virtual tutorials and online instructionals. Guys, let's go find the best move for white. Well, if you guys found C captures on B, that's correct, and A captures B5. Let's go. And now the continuation is bishop captures. I'm laughing here, and I shouldn't be laughing. I'm up 2 pawns. Yes, black is suffering, but it may appear as what my point is, guys, that black is suffering, but black is not suffering. Black has excellent piece coordination. Yes, these 2 bishops, this knight, and this rook are just doing an excellent job. And there's also a back rank open rook there. Guys, if you can predict the move that black played in this, yes, it is rook captures on a2, and he's winning one of the pawns back immediately. Only after a knight to b6, just improving his position before he takes the pawn. And now this allows for a discovered attack. Well, not allows for a discovered attack, but I discovered a discovered attack on the rook on c2, and now finally only comes rook a2, rook a2, rook a2, and now rook to e2, guys. Rook to e2 is the only continuation, and after rook to a5 and bishop to d8, we are still playing moves authentic, genuine. I have not taken back anything at this point. I will let you guys know when I go for the takebacks. Let's go. Now saying, this is actually hilarious, guys, against Stockfish. I'm creating a skewer here, exchange skewer, right? A pin, a skewer to the exchanged piece and a pin on the knight. And Stockfish is hilarious. It says, I'm going to play bishop a6, and I'm going to do the same thing that you're doing to me. I'm going to pin your bishop and skewer your rook. I mean, what are the chances of this, right? We have to play like perfectly symmetrical middle game. I mean, what the heck, right? So bishop a6, rook a6, bishop b6, and now rook b6, yes. And this is exactly what we're talking about here, guys, in this game. That sorry, sad little pony on b1. And wow, the only continuation is rook to e1. If you play anything else in this position, well, you can't, because if this happens, well, I guess you could develop the knight. Now you can't go to the square with check, right? But I still don't think playing a developing move is very smart in this position. It's not like this is any better for white or anything. Yeah, this is actually a pretty scary game, guys. You know, you get this in, and Stockfish is eating you for dinner, you know, and you're going to suffer greatly, right? So not playing that, guys, just rook to e1. We're playing against a top-level engine, rook to b3, and this is the part at move 28 or so before rook to b3, guys, that I had to come up with now for a long time. Let me just show you guys what I was, you know, doing during the meantime, right? So one of the moves I considered in this position was just rook to c1. And now here comes bishop to e3. You can't move the rook up because that's just going to be, that's all she wrote. Nice to know you. So basically just like losing a tempo and going back. We can't push the pawn. These pawns are getting to roll up the board, and Stockfish is winning, okay? So Stockfish is forcing you to only play moves that are going to give you a draw at this point, which is, I mean, just shows the immaculate power and the strength of Stockfish, right? Very scary. It's like a Sith Lord, like Vader or Darth Palpatine, Darth Sidious, for that matter. So now c4, we get in c4 after king to f8, and this is what Stockfish played. I had gone through about 30 minutes to 45 minutes maybe of trying to solve this, but this is what I came up with, guys. This is the solvent. This is the solution. Rook to d1, f6, Stockfish's moves, and here comes g4. hg4, fg4, this is all that works. Bishop to d4, king to g2, yes, that comes with check. King to h3, rook to e2, and now we get some pony action. Oh, that sounds like a dead pony, guys. Very sad, right? Knight to d2, and that dark squared bishop is completely dominant over my minor piece. If I haven't said it enough, yes, rook to e3 check. And I thought it was in this position that we were going to repeat moves, guys, but Stockfish 8 doesn't repeat moves. He's just going to attack that d2 knight, and I'm going to play king to f1. He's going to move his king up. I'm going to play h5. Turns out h5 after king to h5 after, whoops, sorry there. So, okay, I kind of spoiled it there, but after king to f7, guys, h5 is the only move, and I had to play with it a couple moves. I had to take back a few times. But after I was able to find h5 and be aggressive and not be intimidated by this whorish engine, then I was able to understand the latency of king to e6 and now king to e2 attacking the rook. Well, Stockfish is going to go after my g4 pawn now, and the only move to play is knight to f3, going after the bishop. Stockfish captured here on g4. I captured the bishop with check. He captured back with his e-pawn. E takes on d4, and now rook takes on d4, and now this is the position, guys, that we have reached the critical position of the game. Yes, this is drawing, no doubt. Black is going to pick up the h4 pawn. We see this actually in a lot of Grandmaster games. I've seen this position before in a few GM games. I think Jeffrey Zhang at the World Cup I saw. And yeah, I remember it from a long time ago. I like to memorize my chess games, guys. c4 now after rook to h4 going after h5. But Stockfish is not going to capture on h5 because that probably loses. So instead he's going to play rook to h2 check. And then only capture on h5 like a weasel, and now I'm going to play c6, the only good continuation. Again, guys, these are the only moves that draw, or else I'm going to suffer. And it turns out that black is actually going to be better in this endgame and winning, okay? Let's continue. Rook b1 check after king b5, king a6, rook a1 check, and king to b7. And now here comes g5. Well, g5 is just a desperate move. It's not winning or anything, guys. We got a better pass pawn, and that's the c7 pawn. Rook b1, check, king to c8, and rook to c1, king to d8. And now attacking my rook, but that's all right. I'm just going to drop back and get to that cozy little d7 square. He's not going to take the pawn yet for interesting reasons. I'm going to queen. He's going to capture. King c8, and this is all fine. I'm just going to now play rook to d4 and not allow the king to capture now. King's going to have to move forward. I'm going to move my king now towards the battle, the rest of this battle. And just play rook to a4 here now, not allowing the cap. Of course, he's going to push the g-pawn now after this, which makes a lot of sense, and it's going to happen. That's exactly what he played. g2 now, after getting my king closer to his f6 pawn, and afterwards getting the rook to a1 and not allowing, only now capturing Stockfish. He's so weird. I don't know why he does this. King to e3. Why does this make sense to an engine? Right? It's hilarious. Rook to g1, and now king to f3. Well, wouldn't it be nice if we could all just dance together? Stockfish is a complete a-hole. He's not going to allow me to gain any progress to get over here and win that pawn and then have a rook and then checkmate him in the future. No, he's not going to allow it. I'm going to try to make my way, but he's going to attack my rook, and you can easily just, go for this and go have lunch or whatever. But instead, I'm going to play rook a1, and I want him to promote, right? I'm going to move my king to e4. He's going to go to f2, and after I tried to make just a little bit of progress, now he says, Stockfish says, yes, now is the time to promote to a queen. And now I'm going to capture, and that's going to be GG's, half and half. And not allowing Stockfish a full point with black against a human with the white pieces at the highest level on Lead Chess. I want to thank you guys for watching and participating and getting something out of this today. This was Stockfish with your host Colin Heim on September the 12th through 2022. About 17 minutes in, guys. And if you want to learn more about Stockfish, I suggest you play Stockfish starting at one of the lower levels and then work your way up to level 6, level 7, and eventually level 8. And if you can draw Stockfish at level 8, I think you're a pretty strong competitor in chess. And although I did not play a solid chess game after move 28 here, like we talked about, bishop b6, rook b6, rook e1, yeah, after this, after rook e1, I had to spend a few, I had to solve a few puzzles here, and it wasn't anything hard. It wasn't anything easy, it was extremely hard. And I found h4, h5, h2, some king moves. We get to this position, guys, in the end game, and this isn't lost or anything for white. I'm totally fine. I'm going half and half against Stockfish. Level 8, and I can enjoy myself a little more the rest of the evening. Guys, it's 7 o'clock on the dot on Monday. Take care. Love you guys. ISV Chess International at home and abroad. Take care, and bye-bye for now. See you guys on the other side of the chessboard, and keep improving with your chess today. Bye, guys.